Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about breastfeeding. I have a nursing almost 7-month-old, 6-month-old, and I exclusively nurse. He has never received a bottle, and if you told me that when he was a newborn, I would be shocked, because at the beginning I really didn't think it was gonna work. These 10-ish things are going to be really drawing from The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. This is a book that I think that all new mothers need to read, preferably right before you give birth, so while you're pregnant. This is a book that I read before I was giving birth, but I have come back to it numerous times. I mean, like, anytime I have a question, it's like just the perfect little guidebook. And get off your Google. Don't Google things in the middle of the night. It never helps. My mom fired me from Google because I was stressing so bad at the beginning about nursing. Also, disclaimer, this isn't going to be a video about nursing positions or like getting a good latch or anything. You can find lots of videos about that. This is rather the things that I wish I would have heard and just the things you need to hear about breastfeeding to really just make it work. These are the things that I wish I had heard when I had my newborn. I am so passionate about this. So without further ado, let's jump on in. The first thing that you need to do while you are just beginning your breastfeeding journey is nurse, nurse, and nurse again. You think that your baby just nursed like 20 minutes ago and he seems fussy again? Do it again. Like, let nursing be your solution to everything. You can't possibly nurse too much, especially in the beginning. Especially if this is your first time giving birth. Your milk can sometimes take a little while to come in. And my baby is waking up. Do you see this big thing in our living room? What is this, tripod? Hi. Hi. Yeah, are you smiling? Gabriel, we're talking about breastfeeding today. Would you like to join in on the conversation? Yeah, okay. The second thing that I think is absolutely crucial is to have people around you who are supportive and who aren't saying like, oh, do you think you're starving your baby? Or like you're proving a point, like just give them a bottle. Like, that is not gonna help you be successful. You need to have people around you who are saying, you got this, you can do this. And if they're not saying that, give them the boot, okay? So I'm that person saying, you got this. Number 3. Don't supplement, especially at the beginning. You can supplement later on if that's what you need to do or if you want to do, but at the beginning, don't supplement. Don't like give bottles of formula or even express your own milk and give it to your baby. Just keep nursing at the breast. One thing I did do, however, and that I think was helpful in making sure my supply fully came in, was after he would nurse, oh, he just tooted. After he would nurse, I would sometimes pump, after he had already nursed, just to like tell my body like make even more than he took. Number 4, the amount of milk that your baby is getting is forever unknowable. My sister said this to me, forever unknowable. I kept finding myself Googling, is my baby getting enough? How to know my baby is getting enough. Guess what? You really, unless you weighed your baby before and you nursed and then you weighed your baby after, you're never gonna know how much he's getting at each little feeding. So really, all you can do, rather than wonder if your baby is getting enough, is to listen for swallows and watch their jaw. And then of course, you're going to be getting weighed in frequently. So I think after I gave birth, it was on the 3rd day, we were already at the pediatrician and he was getting weighed and they thought he was underweight. And so that worried me even worse. And then we had to come back a couple days later. Oh, look at, you're eating paper. Good. We had to come back a couple days later to ensure, to weigh him in again. And he was doing just fine. He was gaining the weight that he needed to gain. And then after that, he was gaining perfectly from then on out. So it takes a little while, especially if you're a first-time mom, for your milk to fully come in. And yeah, it might look like your baby is losing weight. The most he lost was 8.5% of his body weight, and they say to not go over 10%. And yeah, sometimes your baby might need a little help in the beginning with supplementation if you're over that 10% mark. But if you're not, don't worry. It's forever unknowable. We don't know how much your baby's getting, but we can trust that he's getting what he needs. Number 5, let breastfeeding be your solution to everything. Honestly, nursing is like the best mothering tool ever. It soothes, It entertains. Obviously, it feeds. So if he's hungry, it keeps him warm and close to you. I love that you're eating the notebook. Is that so fun? Yeah, I know, that's so fun. Don't cut your little gummies though. Babies nurse for so many other reasons. That's why I instead of saying like your baby's feeding again, I like to say like your baby is at breast. And that's a thing that that they often do in the Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. Is saying like how much time did your baby spend at breast rather than how much time did your baby feed, because your baby's not always feeding just because he's hungry. Like your baby could be feeding because they want to be held, because they are scared, or you know, they're exploring a lot, and so they're like coming back to you as their home base. So babies nurse for so many reasons than just being hungry, and you can't nurse your baby too much. Okay, number 6 is don't worry about nursing to sleep. So many sleep schedule people and so many guides out there will say, don't nurse your baby to sleep. Wait until they're sleepy, but not all the way asleep, and then try and lay them down. I don't know how people actually do this, but nursing literally, it scientifically is formulated to help babies fall asleep. Like that's what happens. They get sleepy from the sucking that they do. And this is totally normal and natural. And I think how God, if you believe in God, like how God designed it, because it's like the best tool ever to help your baby get to sleep. Gabriel is almost 7 months old and he still almost exclusively nurses to sleep. Sometimes he'll fall asleep in the wrap if I'm holding him, or if we're like out for a walk in his stroller or in the car or whatever, like he'll fall asleep. But when it's time for nap and I know he's tired, I will just nurse him to sleep and I don't worry about it. And at night, we nurse to sleep. That's how Gabriel goes to sleep. So there's no problem with nursing your baby to sleep. It's gonna happen. Like your baby will fall asleep nursing sometimes, because that's just what nursing does. Number 7 is intimately related to that point, and that is don't feed on a schedule. Like you don't need to feed at 11 a.m. and then 1 p.m. and then 4 p.m. Nursing and breastfeeding doesn't work that way. Okay, do you want to go chase the cat around? He's gonna go chase the cat around. So number 7, the one that is intimately related with not worrying about nursing to sleep, don't feed on a schedule. Gabriel went to breast, didn't feed, but he was at breast. I've counted a few times, like 30 times a day. Like when they say like how many times, when you go to the pediatrician and they're like, how many times is your baby nursing? And they're looking for like, oh, he's feeding like 8 to 12 times a day, when they're newborns or whatever. That isn't actually, I don't think, an accurate representation of what nursing is. Because like we already talked about, babies nurse for like so many reasons that aren't just that they're hungry. So feeding on a schedule is hazardous to breastfeeding because it's saying, oh, my baby's only going to be hungry at these specific times of the day. And it's just not true. Like that's just not how nursing goes. But if you do that, losing your supply can sometimes be an issue because you're waiting for your breast to get full, and that's telling your body like, hey, he's not nursing as much, he doesn't need as much milk, so your body will then produce less milk. And this sort of leads into my next point. I don't know what number we're on anymore, but the next thing is that empty breasts make milk faster than full breasts. So if you're waiting until your boobs are full to nurse, then your body will take longer to keep producing milk. So the emptier your breasts are, the faster that, and the more that they'll keep producing milk. And then here's a bonus tip, and that is nursing pillows, right? These are really helpful. This is my Boppy. I used this so much, especially in the beginning, because you're then hands-free, or slightly hands-free. And you can just sit there and, if you need to like scroll on your phone for a minute, okay? Or it's like a boob pillow. Like Gabriel just would fall asleep and take all of his naps on his Boppy, and I would just hold him and we would just sit there. And that's all I did for like, I'm not kidding, like 3 months. And it was a little lonely at times. Ooh, bless you. So just to recap then everything that we've talked about, basically let breastfeeding be your answer. Feed, 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 feed. Have only people around you who are going to be supportive in your breastfeeding journey. The amount of milk that your baby's getting is forever unknowable. So if you're asking that question, is my baby getting enough? If they're gaining weight, they're getting enough. If they're producing the dirty and wet diapers, they're getting enough. You don't need to worry after that. Don't worry about nursing to sleep. just take that worry right out of your mind right now, because nursing is supposed to help babies fall asleep, especially in the beginning. And honestly, this is how, like I said, this is how Gabriel falls asleep. Eliminate the schedule thing. Your baby will regulate. Like, it will get less and less. As your baby gets older, he will nurse fewer and fewer times a day. He's just staring at that kitty cat. But in the end, and currently, this isn't the end, we're just really getting, we're finally really comfortable nursing. We nurse in public. We nurse when you're upset. We nurse to fall asleep. We nurse if you're hungry. We nurse all the time. And I'm finding that he's getting bigger and he wants to not be in my arms all the time. He wants to go chase the cat and he wants to crawl around and touch outlets even though he knows he's not supposed to. So nurse and hold your baby and it's all gonna be okay. Right, Gabriel? Okay, thanks you guys so much for joining today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. All right, see you in the next one. That's my hair, dudes. Bye.